Hey everyone, it's Will here. Thanks for joining me for this video. Today I really wanted to go through the three crucial elements that you need to build your e-commerce brand from scratch that actually helped us build a seven-figure year business that's now contributed to $16 million in revenue for our store. So just really quickly about us, we obviously run our eComm business, but we also run a coaching program called the Seven Figure eComm Blueprint, which basically teaches you all the ins and the outs of what we've done in the past to enable you to scale to similar numbers. So let's get into it. So there's three crucial things that we've dissected that we really found contributed to our success, really fundamental things that you can implement into your e-com business. So the first one is firstly choosing a trending or emerging market or product. And so what that really means for us is something that was, I guess, a little bit cutting edge, a little bit underground. For us at the time, we started with cold pressed juice. Now, whilst this had been in existence for a long time, it wasn't so popular in Australia at the time. And even less so was the ability to construct something called a cleanse program, a detox program. And it certainly wasn't mainstream. And so at the time, we identified that both the cold pressed juicing side of things and the cleansing side of things were quite niche, quite emerging, and quite trendy. And so we were starting to see people flashing their juices all over social media, talking about detoxing, talking about cleansing, and all that sort of thing. So we decided to put obviously two and two together and break ground there. So there were a few competitors in the market, but we do consider what we had to be first mover advantage, which means that we could basically start to educate people, and where the people source their education from and these sorts of things basically builds a lot of trust and affinity with us. So there were competitors in the market, but where they actually benefited us is educating the market on buying essentially expensive juice. So you could buy, plenty of juices in the market for $3-4, but at this time, we were selling our juices as individual units for basically $8. And so that's where our competitors actually helped educate the market on that sort of thing. And then from our point of view, our job was to educate our niche initially, our community and tribe, on the benefits of cold pressed juice cleansing and detoxing the body. And so that's where that came from. That was a very emerging, trending market at the time. And so the second thing is to know your numbers and don't over-capitalize. Unless you've got a lot of funding behind you, which even if you did, I would still recommend following this principle. It's to not commit too early to certain things. So what I mean by that is, not buying too much machinery, not investing in expensive premises, not investing in expensive marketing or marketing firms. Really protect your cash and cash flow. We were in a position where we were actually bootstrapping our business. So it was almost by necessity that we actually identified this principle, and we still stick to it, by this day, even though we're turning over 500 grand a month. And so this has really put us in good stead and remains to be a principle where the ROI of a decision really has to be greatly outweighing the actual cost. I'll use this as an example. When we first started out, we were using domestic juices. They maybe cost, $150, but we had them in our homes anyhow. And that's how we started producing these juices and juice cleansers. And then it was only once we actually had the proof of concept, meaning that we sold to our friends and family. One thing to do is they actually exchanged cash for our products and gave us actual feedback. But then we went to other networks as well, friends of friends, and did similar things and got actual feedback and got that validity. And it started to get legs. It was at that point that we actually committed to buying a 30K machine from the US to import that, which at the time, it was literally all the cash that my brother and I actually had. And it was going to take, 2 months to get here. All obviously the import taxes and costs. It was an absolute minefield for us. We'd never been through this before, but obviously a great experience to go through. And as we import more things from China and various places, it's really important to understand these things. But we didn't overcommit initially. We weren't going out before we'd even started the business and buying heavy machinery or investing in warehouse space and things like that. So as I say, by necessity, this was the case. but it actually put us in really good stead that every single decision we made, we had to track where that expense was going and how that was actually being returned. And as a really general rule, and this is probably something I'll do another topic on in itself, but we have what we call like the 10x rule. So literally, if we invest in a piece of machinery, it needs to ensure that it's going to get at least a 10x return on our spend. If it's not, then we won't actually invest in it, or we'll wait until we basically grow to get to that point. It was the same with changing premises and upgrading premises. We always waited to outgrow our premises in a capacity point of view before we went and looked at the next place, and then the next place and the next place, and grew from there. And this way you can really control your cash flow bit, because probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make is actually spending too much too quick. They run out of cash, therefore they run out of time, and they have to go out of business. That's literally it. And that happens to so many of our competitors. So I can't emphasize this enough about conserving your cash flow and using it sparingly. And then the third thing, which is really important, and this is all part of growth and development, is things are going to break. Like systems and processes are going to break. And, it's honestly the mother of all invention, is the necessity aspect. And so getting comfortable with things breaking, and I guess having short-term stress for long-term gain is crucial. You can't possibly grow without breaking a system. And so an example of this is when we would scale up from, let's call it even 10 juice cleansers a day to say 20 after maybe an influencer posted or something like that. We would take all the sales we could get and essentially we had to come up with more creative ways to serve these people. So obviously we had to produce it by hand, we had to deliver it by hand, but everything in between in terms of, communication, customer service, our marketing, our communication during and post cleanses and our follow-ups, we had to become smarter. Even on bigger scales now with logistics, going from 10 to 20, talk about going from 500 to 600 in a day. That's like big time logistics that we still heavily control. And so talk about customer service and then things around that, client communication, these things have to break. Honestly, they have to break, and it sucks at the time, but you find a better way out of necessity and you grow and can get through that growth. And what happens is this is the trend. You basically grow, break, grow, break, grow, break. But every growth and breakage enables you to actually go that next bit. And it would be almost impossible not to grow. Impossible to grow if you weren't actually breaking things along the way. So they're my three big things about how we were able to start from zero and get up to 7 figures a year, 16 million revenue total through our what we still consider a small business, with so many lessons along the way. So number one is choosing the right product and the right market in the beginning that's actually got legs and popularity, and you get validation immediately. The second one is knowing your numbers and not over-capitalizing. And the third one is getting comfortable with things breaking. So really hope that helps. If you've got any questions or comments, let me know. Also here for a chat if you need. But other than that, hope that helps. Cheers.